Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Tasty Trails Travel Pod. Today I'm sitting down with Huang, who grew up straddling various languages, cultures, and countries. One of my favorite things about this podcast is getting to hear the perspectives of so many different people from so many different backgrounds. Locals, chefs, immigrants, children of immigrants, people who left home young, people who never left at all, and everyone in between. And they all have their own unique relationship that reminds them of home and how they honor it. I loved diving into wider Cantonese food and culture from his perspective, and I seriously learned so much. If you're interested in my own personal food journey, a few weeks ago, I wrote about the food that I take with me when I travel on my Substack. I'll make sure to link that in the description so you can access that. And quick note before we get into it, if you can, make sure to watch this one and all of them on YouTube and Spotify. If you've noticed in other episodes, I've started adding pictures and some graphics along with stuff. And so yeah, I just think that adds much more to it and helps you just get a better idea of everything. While you are there, make sure to hit subscribe if you don't already. There's more than just the podcast. It is also travel vlogs and my journey back through Korea. So that's it for housekeeping, and let's go. Hey Zilong, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Katie. Thanks for having me today here.
Yeah, I can't wait to get started. Can you tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and what your relationship is to Cantonese, like food and culture and language and everything?
Yes, so my name is Long. I'm 25 years old and I was born and raised in Germany, but as you might can tell, I have a Chinese background. My parents are from Guangzhou in the south, which is like 1 hour north of Hong Kong in China. I grew up with not only the language, with Cantonese, but also with the food. My parents are a bit random, but both of my parents are chefs. And yeah, and so I got a lot of culinary input from my parents.
Oh, no way. I actually had no idea. That's so cool.
Yeah, I would say we were quite traditional about our culture. So at home, we always spoke Cantonese. My parents also told me on a regular basis that.
Yeah, so was school the first time that you spoke German or learned German, or you were learning it on the side as
No, so
well?
my parents, I don't know how my parents did it, but they had everything thought through already. They knew that if I joined preschool with 5 and started to learn German at that time, it might have been too late. So they hired a nanny to care for me, a German nanny. And so I started learning German at the same time I started learning Cantonese, or yeah, Chinese.
Oh,
I grew
that's
up with both
amazing.
languages.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm always so envious of that because you just have these two mother tongues, and then obviously you speak English, and I know you also speak Mandarin, I believe, and
Yeah,
yeah, just so many languages. I am so envious. That's so cool.
thanks to my
And so
parents.
yeah, so what does Cantonese food mean to you? What do you think of? What do you associate with it? You're used to home cooked, although professionally home cooked meals, I guess. So yeah, what does Cantonese food mean to you?
Home, Cantonese food, and also the language, the culture means home. So whenever I get to have food from that region, especially when my parents cook it, I feel like I'm being cared for, and I feel like having my family around me. And since I live here, I forgot to say that, I think, in the beginning, but I live abroad. I live in Kazakhstan. So whenever I get to travel back home, it's one of the first things I have, a home cooked meal from my parents. They usually pick me up from the airport and tell me, "Oh, son, I hope you haven't had food yet." And I always say, "Oh, sorry, I had some food on the plane." And then they say, "Yeah, but that's not enough. We already cooked a whole meal for you, waiting for you at home." So it's home, yeah, arriving, being with my parents.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have a meal that you always request that you specifically miss?
Um, in the recent years, since I have moved out, I would say it's a certain dish which is called xin gyun in Cantonese. It's meat and vegetables wrapped in a thin layer of tofu and then
Oh,
steamed. And you can also fry it after you have steamed it. But it's very difficult to make. But my parents really try to make it once every time I go back home.
oh yeah, and that's a good choice. Something that's like hard to make on your own. You're like, oh, mom and dad, can you can you make this?
That's true.
So when I think of eating Chinese food back from the States, a lot of times it was family style. Is Cantonese cooking a lot of family style or not at all?
Sorry, I have a question. What do you mean by family style?
So family style is like at a restaurant, people would order like their individual plate or whatever, and everyone would order their own thing. And at Chinese restaurants, you order plates for the table, and then everyone kind of shares all of the different kinds of plates that were ordered.
Yeah, I feel like it all depends on the customer, actually. If you go to a Chinese restaurant, you will quickly notice that most of them have a Chinese menu, a real authentic Chinese menu, and a menu which got adapted to the local taste. And
Oh.
most of the time you can request to get the other menu, the real Chinese menu.
Oh.
And it's also the same with, as you said, the way of eating, the way of maybe sharing. There are some people, as I said, I grew up in Germany, and Germany, everything is very individual. People usually just get something for themselves. But you also have the option of sharing a meal, of ordering one meal to share with multiple people. And in a lot of Chinese restaurants, you have those round tables
Yeah.
where you have a circle in the middle and you put all the plates, all the drinks, and it can be turned around. So everyone, like if you want to have a certain thing and it's not reachable for you with your hand, you can just turn around the table and get whatever you like. So it all depends on yourself, whether you want to try the authentic way or you want to just have it your way. Yeah, and I would say Cantonese or Chinese food differs a lot when it comes to the traditional meals. In Germany, a lot of people usually enjoy intense tastes. They like
Mhm.
sweet stuff, they like fried stuff. I have also lived in the US and I noticed that the taste, the palate is not too different from the US, actually, the German palate. So a lot of fried stuff, a lot of hearty sauces, those kind of things. But if you go the more authentic way, it would be different.
Okay, so what would you say is like more authentic? It's like it's lighter.
So when it comes to Cantonese food, the most important thing I would say is that you kind of try to preserve the taste of the ingredients. You don't want
Okay.
to use sauces or cooking techniques which completely overlap or destroy the taste of the ingredient. You don't usually use thick sauces. You steam things, which is really healthy as well, and a good way to preserve the taste. So it's a lot lighter. The more south you go in China, I would say the lighter it gets when it comes to the taste.
Oh, that's interesting. And so, okay, yeah, so we met in Kazakhstan, and you did like
Yeah.
a wonderful talk on Cantonese, the
Mm.
language. Um, but you did a very great presentation, very generally to kind of give people an idea. I know for me personally, I pretty much thought when I thought of Cantonese, I thought of Hong Kong. Period. That's it. And what you explained to me is or to us, is there is so much more than that. Can you talk a little bit about that, kind of like the region?
Yeah, sure. So Cantonese, the language itself and the culture is like located in the province of Guangdong and Guangxi in that area. And if you look on the map, there are actually a lot of cities in that region. Obviously, Hong Kong is one part, and Macau is another part. Both are special administrative districts and zones in China. But Guangzhou is also in that region where my parents are from. It's huge. Shenzhen, the Silicon Valley of China, is also in that region. And of course, through migration, a lot of Cantonese speaking people, a lot of Cantonese culture has gone abroad. Like I'm the product of that migration. Like my parents were from that region, but I was born abroad. You can also find a lot of Cantonese culture and cuisine in Southeast Asia, in Singapore, in Malaysia, in Thailand, in the US, and most of the Chinatowns are a lot of Cantonese speaking people.
And is there a difference kind of between what people think of when they think of Hong Kong versus Guangdong as a whole, both in the food, but also in, I don't know, dialect and culture and things like that? Or
Yeah, there are a lot of differences. Historically, Hong Kong was a colony, a British colony in the past, but now is under Chinese administration rule with its own legal system. So yeah, and during the colonial times, during the British rule, a lot of things have developed differently. So Hong Kong has included a lot of British influence in their daily lives and their vocabulary and this way they go through life as well. As far as I know, I have never lived in Hong Kong, but I went there on a regular basis to visit some family members. And yeah, and the Chinese part, like the mainland Chinese part, has also gone their own way. So the history is different. The dialect, the language is also quite different. And yeah,
between
also
Guangdong and Hong Kong?
yeah.
Oh, really?
Like I speak the Guangzhou variant of Cantonese, and we don't use that many English words as in Hong Kong, so it's quite different.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense. And what about the food? So are you seeing kind of British influences on the food as well?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say yes, without being an expert, but I think it had something to do with the access to the global market, because China for a long time was like kind of isolated economically, globally, whereas Hong Kong has always been, especially during the British rule, it has always been like a kind of an access to the world's market in that area, in that region. So they had a lot of trade, which mainland China didn't have. And when I recently went to Hong Kong in February, and I would say they have different meals. In Hong Kong, you can find a lot of breakfast cafes, breakfast tea houses.
Okay.
In Cantonese, you call them 茶餐厅, and you cannot really find them in mainland China. In Guangzhou, you cannot find them. And there are certain dishes like sweetened milk tea, which you cannot find in Guangzhou. There are also like pineapple buns. I don't know if you have ever had pineapple buns, like a brioche kind of thing, very
Oh, I
soft.
know what you're talking about, but I haven't eaten one.
Yeah, you haven't had one. It's really good, and they kind of make a sweet crust on the top, and they
Okay.
they use a knife or I don't know, a chopstick to make a pattern, like a like
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Like on top.
yeah, on top a pattern, and it looks like the pattern of a pineapple,
Uh-huh.
those squares, and that's why they are called pineapple buns. And they're also a bit yellowish because they use a lot of butter and eggs to make it yellow.
But do they
And
taste like pineapple?
no, they do not taste. They just look like a
Oh.
pineapple, but they do not taste anything like a pineapple. It's just like a brioche with a crusty top, and it's so like mouth filling. It's not sweet. Like you usually, I don't know if you have noticed, but usually Asian cuisine is not that sweet, and it's actually a compliment if you say or if you hear someone saying, "Oh, it's not too sweet. I like it." And it's the same in Hong Kong or in Guangzhou. People like sweetness, but only if it's very nuanced and mixed with other flavors. And those pineapple buns you can have with all sorts of things. Actually, you can have with bacon, you can have with eggs, you can have with a cream filling. Yeah, there's no limit to it.
Oh, see, and that's why I didn't try them because I thought they were going to be like pineapple sweet.
Oh
So
no,
that
no,
is
no,
good to
no.
know.
They're not. You can find them in every bakery.
And is there a big culture of like baked goods and like flour and yeah, just stuff baked with flour and things? Or does that all that also just come from the Brits?
Oh, that I don't know about that if the baked products stem from the British. I don't know about that, but I know that there's a lot of good stuff you can get from the bakery. Yeah, like Hong Kong, the Hong Kong bakery is very known in mainland China as well. When you find a Hong Kong bakery, usually there are long queues because everyone wants to have
Uh,
certain things.
yeah. Yeah. And okay, so I think Cantonese cuisine is known for like lots of soups, yeah? So were you eating a lot of soups growing up? Or like also do you like make a lot of soups? Do you eat a lot of soups? What's your relationship with soup?
Oh, I'm a big soup fan. I'm a very big soup fan. I have all kinds of soups, Russian soups here, Kazakh
I am.
soups, German soups, French soups, everything. But of course, I grew up with a lot of Chinese, Cantonese soups, which my parents made at home. I don't know. It's like I'm a bit indecisive on this topic because
Okay.
there are a lot of. Sometimes I really like the soups which my parents make, and sometimes not. There are different cooking techniques. Like one of the cooking techniques is called dan tong. It means that you usually have something slow cooked for a very, very
Uh-huh.
long time, 4 or 5 hours. It's kind of a stew and on a very low heat, and it unfolds the taste of the ingredient. But they also, I don't know if Chinese traditional medicine is known that much, but so in Chinese traditional medicine, there are a lot of herbs and yeah, different ingredients which you can put into the soups, and it makes them. I'm not an expert, but it makes them more healthy, beneficial for all kinds of maybe health issues.
Yeah, I think Chinese medicine is really interesting because there's like thousands of years of knowledge behind that. And incorporating it into foods and stuff like that, where instead of fixing a problem after it's already occurred, like trying to preventatively just keep ourselves healthy, there's just like so much wisdom from Chinese everything. Are you cooking soups yourself at home? Like, do you cook a lot of Cantonese food at home?
So when it comes to soups, I would say no, because even though my parents are chefs and they kind of try to convince me of those soups, I've never really gotten into this soup world. As you said, the soups are there to cure uh, certain certain issues, but also most of the time people drink soups to prevent having health issues.
Hmm.
So I never really gotten the science, the explanation behind things. My parents just gave me soups and made soups and said, "Oh, it's good for you." And every time I asked them, "Oh, why do I have to drink the soup? Why are you making this?" They said, "Because it's good for you, it's good for your eyes, it's good for your, I don't know, your cardiovascular system." And I have never understood this soup science. also because soups, at least the soups my parents made, they most of the times they were quite bitter because they included lots of Chinese herbs. But I would say if you go commercially, if you go to a restaurant and order a soup, they won't include usually those kind of medicine. They would just try to make it appealing to the customer. So an actual soup that tastes good, not to like be beneficial for you. I don't know if I explained it well, but yeah.
Yeah. So like it sounds like your relationship to soup is kind of like, oh, I have to have this, not necessarily as medicine or whatever, but it's like a healthy thing. It's like less for enjoyment and more about the like health aspect. And that's kind of how you see it, as opposed to like a cozy, warm bowl of soup. And then even if you were to get it in the restaurant, you're like, well, I'm getting that delicious bowl of soup, but I'm not getting the like health benefits from it. And so you just that kind of part of it is always in your brain. And that's like a really unique, well, maybe not, because perhaps everybody who has Cantonese parents also feels that way, but that's just like, yeah, a really interesting kind of relationship to soup and like how you see soup.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
I would say the relationship to Chinese traditional medicine and also soups changes. For example, once you have children on your own. I don't have children, but my sister has a son now, has a kid now, and before she was also quite traumatized by those soups. Oh, because your parents force you to drink those soups even though you don't like them. It's like taking bitter medicine usually, and you never understood the science behind it. So you just see the bowl in front of you, and you don't know what you're drinking. And my sister was not a big fan of those soups until she got a child, and she started to like read about, or also ask our parents about the soups, how to make it, what's the science behind it. And ever since, she makes soup every week for her husband and for her child. Yeah, it's kind of a family tradition which goes on. I don't know if I will keep that family tradition, but yeah, for right now, I'm not making soups for myself.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But yeah, I do totally get that. And once you're also taking care of other people and stuff, yeah, I get that. Can you talk to me a little bit about congee and what role congee plays? I think that it has a big role in Cantonese culture as well as clay pot
Yeah,
rice.
yeah,
Can you
yeah.
talk about what those are and yeah, what role they play in the culture?
So first about congee. Congee is not just a thing, a dish which you can have in the south of China, like in Guangdong, in the Cantonese speaking area, but it's also very known in mainland China. The history is actually quite interesting when it comes to that. My mom once told me a story that when she grew up in poverty in communist China back at the days, congee was a way to make you full. Congee is made like without using a lot of resources. Congee is made out of rice, for the people who don't know, rice and lots of water. So you just use like a spoon of rice and you fill the pot up with water, and then you boil it. The rice becomes mushy and disintegrates into the water. And in the end, you can season it with salt, with pepper, or even with other ingredients. But back in the days when people didn't have that much money, they just had congee with water, and it didn't use a lot of resources. Also because like food was rationalized or rationed. I don't know
Rationed?
the
Rationed.
rationed back at the day. So everyone had a certain limit of what they can provide for themselves. And my mom told me that everyone was living off those really 1 or 2 spoons of rice and water. And then they made congee to make everyone full in the family to, yeah, survive back in the days. And my mom told me that my uncle, he was malnourished. He didn't
Mm.
get the necessary nutrients because you cannot, it makes you full. The congee makes you full, but it doesn't give you those vitamins that you need. So he was bloated with all the water and all the rice. But nowadays, it's not a dish to survive anymore. Nowadays, you can find all kinds of types of congee, like with pork, which I really like, pork, scallions, and ginger. And then you put some pepper on top. That's like the Cantonese way. And I think in the north can put like other ingredients like chili oil and stuff like that, but that's not very Cantonese. Like Cantonese food is not known for its spice. You can add fish, you can add beef to it, you can add peanuts to it. That's a way one of the favorite congees my parents used to make.
Ooh, I like that because it adds texture.
It does, yeah, yeah. Especially if you fry the peanuts before and you add them on top with scallions and some
Nice.
salt. It's very
Oh,
good. It's very good.
yum. I don't know if you watch Top Chef or well, even if you do, you probably wouldn't watch the US version, but it's a great reality cooking competition. And so the finale meal is just make the best meal of your
Mhm.
life. Um, and 2 out of the 3 contestants made congee as one of their courses. And it was
Mm.
just like really cool to see such like a humble dish on a world stage being elevated like that and incorporated into the kind of like the meal of these people's lives. I thought that was very cool. Are you ever eating it sweet or it's always savory?
I've never had sweet congee, I think. No, no, it's always savory. Yeah, it's always
And
savory.
was it like invented like during that time period or it kind of existed before and then just became much more popularized because of like the necessity?
Oh, I'm not too sure about this, but it definitely helped people to get through those tough times.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and nowadays it's just like usually people have it for breakfast. It's a breakfast meal. Or if you get sick. The other day I caught myself making it as well because usually I don't make it. But the other day a couple months ago I got really sick and I made it for myself because it's so easy.
Yeah.
It's low effort. You can just throw things into the. Usually you make it in your rice cooker, or you can also make it in a pot. And yeah, you throw everything together in one pot in one place and just boil it for a couple of
And
hours,
easy
and
on
it
your
gets
stomach as well too.
it's as well easy on your stomach. It's warm, it fills you. So yeah, and it's easy to eat as well if you have some like
Oh, true.
throat issues. You don't want to chew or you don't want to irritate your throat too much. It
Yeah.
can it can help.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm gonna have to try making that at home maybe. And then okay, so what about clay pot rice?
Clay pot rice. I think it's the same cooking technique, the same principle. It's a lazy dish, I would say, a very effective lazy dish. You put everything together, assemble everything in one place in one pot, and then you cook it. So clay pot rice is usually you don't use fresh rice, you use rice that you have left over from other meals, and then you stick it to the pot and you burn it a little bit so it gets that aroma, that taste. And on top, you can add, usually you add some soy sauce for the seasoning, you add some sesame oil, you can add pork, you can add all sorts of meats, vegetables, and yeah, and then you burn the rice a little bit to get that aroma and stir it. A lazy meal, but very effective.
I love that the burnt rice and all the cultures that like are prominent rice eaters, you're always getting a dish that's got the burnt rice, and that's the like coveted
Mm,
piece of the dish. Like everybody wants that bit. It's like the best bit, like the in Spanish paellas or in Persian food that comes up a lot. And yeah, it's so good. It's so good.
it is good. Now you mentioned it that it also appears in other cultures. I would maybe I'm not too sure about that. Yeah, I might get criticized for that, but it might be like the Chinese version of bibimbap. I don't know if
Yeah.
you know you
Yeah.
use
The dosa
leftover
bibimbap
rice
comes
and
with
then you
yeah.
yeah you put some vegetables in it, some meats, and then you burn the rice and mush it together. So
Oh,
maybe
yeah,
it's the
yeah.
Chinese bibimbap.
I literally just had bibimbap for lunch a few hours ago.
Oh, nice.
So, growing up in Germany in a Cantonese household, do you ever kind of have any like German Cantonese fusion, or for you, kind of those are two separate worlds?
Oh, no, I would say my parents mixed a lot of food. Since you cannot get every ingredient, or nowadays you can, but like 10 or 15 years ago, it was way less easy to find certain ingredients in supermarkets.
Sure.
In Chinese cooking and Cantonese cooking, there are so many types of sauces, those pantries of sauces. It's so wide, so diverse, and also the like vegetables. I sometimes don't get what it is translated into, like the German or English name for certain vegetables. I just don't know because they don't exist in Europe. So we used a lot of vegetables, like the local vegetables you can get in Germany, and kind of made dishes that appeal to us, appeal to the taste buds of my parents. So we usually added Cantonese seasoning, but used local products to make the dishes. So if you can consider that as a fusion, you might.
Yeah. Totally. And I do love kind of adding in the seasonings. There's this Instagram account that I follow. It's Korean Americans, and she cooks for her Korean parents food from like around the world, and they always eat the food authentically as it is, and then inevitably like at the end they're adding it with kimchi to it and like eating it with
Mm-mm-mm.
kimchi, and they're like, oh, this is so good too. And I love yeah, kind of adding in those cultural flares, and also just like discovering new things when you kind of put those things together. I think that's really
Definitely.
nice. And I believe you said you lived on in mainland China as well. In
Yeah. So after high school, I went to Beijing for almost a year, and I went there for my studies. It was a nice experience, but completely different from the parts of China I have been to that point so far. Beijing is the country is huge.
yeah,
Every region feels like a completely different country. The people look different. The language people speak is different. The daily like behavior is different. Food is different. Climate is different. So it was a new China for me at that time.
yeah. And did you kind of know all that going into it? Was that like a surprise for you finding all that out once you got there, or what was that like for you?
Um, I think I got a little bit prepared because, as many Chinese kids, I also went to a Chinese school.
Mm,
So my parents started sending me to Chinese language school every Sunday. I had to go to classes and to homework first for the Sunday school. And my teachers usually were from the north of China, from Beijing or from the northeast of China, because that's like considered as the standard Chinese variant, language variant you use in China. Most of the things are based off that dialect in the
so like
north.
if you're watching like the national news, it'll kind of be
Yeah,
in that.
yeah. It kind of all sounds like the people from that region, the people from Beijing. So since my teachers came from that region, and a lot of the friends of my parents, Chinese friends from my parents, were from that region, I kind of got to know their food, their how they speak, their view on life, because it's substantially different from the people in the South.
Is it just, would you say, kind of a similar, I don't know, in the different countries that I've lived in around the world, it seems to be very similar in a lot of countries where the stereotype is in the north, it's like, oh, we're like hard workers, and then in the south, it's like the lazy, whatever people, and then in the south they're like, oh, well, the north, like they like work too hard and they're too rigid, and in the south, we know how to like enjoy life and things like that. I'm not saying like whether or not that's true, but that's what I've seen, how kind of the general stereotypical thinking is. Is it kind of like that, or is it something totally different?
I would say it's kind of like that. In most of the countries in the Northern Hemisphere, as you said, the North seems to come off a little bit as a little bit more distant, not that accessible as people, and more disciplined. And whereas people from the South, they usually got the warmer climate, and they know how to better enjoy their lives, to just be more laid back. And I would say that it's kind of the same. So in the north, people are way rougher. Like you can feel that they're more direct, whereas in the south, people, they just they are a lot more heated, in the south. They are a lot more passionate. They are a lot more, they talk way louder, I would say. People just, in the way of, like, when you go on the streets, usually it's super hot, so people just wear t-shirts, their flip-flops, or the slippers, and they just go on the streets, have some food on the sidewalk, on those plastic, I don't know how to describe, but like those red plastic
Oh, like the
um
benches, like the
uh,
stools.
that's the stools, yeah, the stools.
Oh,
And
yes, that is so quintessentially Asian to me. The
I
the
I
blue
I
and
I
red
saw
stools.
also saw them in Korea when I was there. I was like, oh yeah, that also exists in southern China, and
Yeah,
people have,
Vietnam,
yeah,
Thailand,
yeah.
like yeah,
People have,
Asia loves a
yeah,
stool, plastic stool.
people have big meals on plastic
Yeah,
tables. Yeah,
and that's where you find the
that's
best food, though. Like
that's
that's where
where
you
you
find
find
the best food.
authentic foods. And
Hmm.
yeah, people just live their lives. They talk freely. They obviously, like, very loud, but that's what I connect China with. And I was substantially different in northern China. You couldn't find that.
Yeah, yeah. That, I mean, that makes sense, and you're also so right. Thank you so much for chatting with me today. There is one question that I do like to ask everybody that comes on here, and that would be, what would your last meal be?
My last meal in life.
Yes, like if you knew you were gonna like die tomorrow, and you could choose one meal to eat, what would you choose as your last meal?
Boy, I think my last meal would be the steamed tofu rolls I talked about in the beginning. Fill those, like, meat and vegetables wrapped in a thin layer of tofu and then steamed or fried. Oh, those are so delicious. I would have them as my last meal, just to, you know, enjoy the last bits of life with that warmth and with my family, because I connected really much with my family. Um,
Yeah, I love that. Does it come with any sort of sauce or anything, or you're eating it straight?
no, no, you steam it with oyster sauce,
Ah,
usually. Yeah, it's brown, so
oh, okay, got it.
yeah.
And what are those called again?
Sinjokgyun.
Great.
Seen. Yeah, you can, maybe cut out this pronunciation, and
Yeah,
then
you might have to write that down for me.
whenever you go to southern China, to Hong Kong or wherever, you can just play it, and ask for this dish.
Yeah.
I'm sure some Cantonese restaurants have this.
And have you found any Cantonese food in Almaty?
Oh no, I haven't. It's really difficult to find anything. Maybe I haven't met the right people yet to introduce me to Cantonese restaurants. But I noticed that most of the restaurants here are run by Northern Chinese people, which makes sense because they are like Almaty's on the
Yeah,
line with Northern
the same
China.
longitude or latitude,
Yeah,
whatever
yeah, the song same
I always mix up
longitude.
longitude and latitude, but it's on the same
Yeah,
horizontal
on the
plane.
same horizontal line.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's really hard to find something I'm used to have.
Yeah. Well, Zilong, thank you so much for chatting today. This has been so much fun, and I learned so much. This has been a pleasure. Give Almaty and Kazakhstan a hug for me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah, and I will let you know once I find some Cantonese food here in Almaty. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. So a huge thanks for Zilong for walking us through Cantonese food, language, and what it means to carry a culture across 3 countries. If you love this episode and want to know more, episode number 25 with Tess Cheng, linked in the description, as usual. We're talking specifically food from Hong Kong and from a totally different angle than today. So I encourage you to go check that out because it just gives a much more full picture of the region. Share this episode on social media, send it to a friend who'd love it. Yeah, we really just want to spread more food and culture and love in the world, and that really helps us do that. So thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next time. Bye.